In today's video, I'm going to show you how to go from cold to gold. How do you take cold leads and convert them into hard-earned cash? And today, my friends, that is the ZMOT, the zero moment of truth. So let's just understand something here first. When we look at trust in today's current market in 2024, it is as low as it has ever been. And so what we're seeing now is more and more requirements to really focus on what your prospects are consuming before they even get on a call with us. Okay, so having trust in this current economy, typically we see here B2B buyers are typically 57% of the way there to a buying decision before they even engage with a brand. Okay, so that is pretty clear there for you to understand that before you even do any type of outbound activities, cold emailing, cold calling, anything on LinkedIn, if your DMs on Instagram, Facebook, any of those places, you get the point. You gotta have these assets in place. And this is what I'm going to go through here. And this is what we call your ZMOT, your zero moment of truth, and how it incorporates with what we call our hot touch power dollar. This is the secret sauce that I'm about to show you guys on how we book so many darn appointments from our outbound efforts. When I tell people the types of conversion rates that we get from things happening on places like LinkedIn, on places like our cold email or cold calling, it's this very reason why. Okay. And I'm going to show you what that means. So if we look at what is your ZMOT, this is your zero moment of truth. It's essentially Google did a whole bunch of research for us, and they say that you need 7 hours of interaction across 11 touch points at 4 separate locations before they make a purchase. But really, like before they even will say yes to booking an appointment with us and our sales team. So we're seeing this becoming more and more important than ever before. Now, I mentioned here something that's really proprietary to us. We call it our hot touch power dollar. So this is what I mean by that. When you are doing any sort of outbound activities, your prospects will often, they will come back and they will look at things like your LinkedIn profiles. They'll look at your website. They will engage with certain aspects of the content that we are sending them. Well, hopefully if your content's good, but they're taking a look at it because they want to say, they're trying to solve, to understand if you are actually able to help them solve some of the challenges that maybe you have brought up through some of the outbound marketing efforts that you're doing, where they thought, and then they come and they check us out. They're looking to really understand, is this worth my time to even get on an initial call? So you, my friend, you need to manufacture this to your fullest ability. And here's what I mean by that. What kind of content, what can we do to produce this 7 hours? Because 7 hours seems like a lot. Okay, but I'm talking, think YouTube long form content. I'm talking the Zoom meetings. I'm talking the case studies, the video testimonials. There are a lot of different things that we can do through the sending on channels like email, SMS, on LinkedIn. There's various places, locations that we can have this consume them, but right where it says over various touch points. So we first want to address what what do we want to put out there? What do we want them to consume? Right. And that's where we come over here, where it's like, okay, getting this 7 hours becomes a lot less daunting when you realize that we have all these various channels in which to engage them on. But if you're trying to have them go through this equation of, okay, 15% of the way to a buying decision before they engage with the brand, well, that's because if you're doing this correctly, your ZMOT would address some of their very objections and false beliefs that they have, so that they can go through a traditional sales process with you. And then once we have an idea of what that looks like, we can start to understand what kind of content on these different locations needs to go out. Okay, so let me just reiterate there. Objections and false beliefs, because this is usually what holds our prospects back from being able to convert over to us to, part with their hard-earned cash. And so what do I mean by false beliefs? Well, in my industry, I help people with their sales and marketing efforts. And oftentimes they feel as though they should have, if they're in a founder-led sales process, they think, well, I should just go out and hire a whole bunch of salespeople because that's going to change my trajectory. So that's actually the biggest challenge that I see with a lot of founders, is that they're missing missing the very foundations that are required in order to even remove them from a founder-led sales process. So this is really a false belief, but is also an objection that we get when we are trying to find new partners for our programs that we run, is them thinking that they have to have all these pieces in place before they can actually even work with us or even look at what scalability looks like, when really perhaps they just need somebody to come in and help them with identifying correct things like messaging, offers, positioning, and there's a process that we go through. My point being is this: if there are common objections and common false beliefs that you are hearing throughout your sales process, throughout your sales calls, well, that really takes place for what should be a good piece of content. So YouTube video, white papers, testimonials, PDF guides, ebooks. There's so many different assets that you can send prior to before somebody even gets on a call with us. So if somebody has booked a call with you, let's say from an outbound, what you need to have is a series of text messages and emails that warm up your prospect. So when by the time they get to that very first introductory call, they already understand what you do, how you help, and how you are an authority inside of your niche. That's a really, really great place to be. And let me tell you, if your CRM can go the extra distance and actually track who's touched what and who's engaged with what, it allows you really in the controlling seat when you go through your sales process, because you should not be pitching somebody who doesn't understand what is it you do and how do you help, and who doesn't really have the trust that's needed. Trust is one of the most important factors to get when you're trying to close a deal. And you'll know that you have a little bit more trust when these assets that I've just mentioned to you, which have been sent to you, and you can see in your activity inside of your CRM what they have actually consumed, what videos, what have they downloaded, what have they watched. Was when we know that they've engaged with our content, they've engaged with some of those objections, they've engaged with some of those false beliefs, like a lot of the work is done for us. And it actually makes for a really great sales process. So that's why this is so brilliant. So I encourage you, like throughout this stage, you should be documenting your biggest objections, your biggest false beliefs, so that you can create really great pieces of content that can be sent out to our prospects. Over here, message consistency is really, really, really important. And this does come down to you being very clear on your ICP, also known as your ideal customer profile. It is very, very hard to get things to convert when your message is out of whack, the person of whom you're trying to target is out of whack, and it's inconsistent. If you're saying that you are focused in on one niche over here, and then they get an email that states something different, it's not what you want to have. So do be sure that if you are going through this process for the first time, that you self-audit yourself. You should be going out and you should be Googling your name, your company name. You should see what happens when somebody comes to look at your own digital footprint. You should pay attention to what it is that they are seeing, because when we can have a bit of a step back, or perhaps even ask people to help us out to audit our own stuff, this can really help. It's important to note here that I made a little note here that says H to H experience versus B to B. That stands for head to head, like person to person. I remember I had a really great conversation with a founder the other day, and when we went on and went through some of their messaging and really what they were applying on their own website, a lot of the deals and client successes, what they had was that they really relied on the founder to solve a lot of their problems. And so the founder removed himself from the website, from all of the branding, but yet the messaging was very much towards having this person inside of your business fixing a lot of the issues that they find and can troubleshoot for you. So we had to really look together, how can we bring that together? So that is what I say to you is this: go through an audit to ensure, are you creating something that is person to person, or are you focusing too much on business to business? And humanize that connection, because people want to buy from people. I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you that. here we say, manufacture what your prospect sees at the ZMOT. So don't rely on what happens when they get a Google search. You should work on your PR. You should work on your search engine optimization. That's why I say go and Google and see. But most importantly, really create what your prospect sees, right? Again, what are the objections? What are the false beliefs? What does your prospect need to know so that they can be farther along the sales journey in order to be able to do business with you? Once you have an idea on that, you need to start creating that ZMOT. So when I say written content, it can be videos, it can be your blogs, it can be the webinars, it can be the events that you go to, social occasions that you go to. Write down all the different types of ways that you can get out of this messaging out into the world, and then design what that needs to look like. And really, after watching this video, go and implement. I always recommend that when we put our partners through this process to understand what are the biggest objections, false beliefs, and then once we go through and we do that audit to understand what are people seeing when they do go and do some digging around, to really recreate what needs to be there. And then from there, we can start to create the content. But the point here is action. You need action on this. Once you have created those pieces of content, go back through all of your nurturing campaigns. When somebody has booked a call with you, when somebody has yet to book a call with you, when somebody has been sent a proposal or a contract to come on for services, look at how your sales process is set up and understand what is a piece of content somebody should be consuming at that point of their sales journey, and then of course apply that to the rest of your nurturing pieces. The last and final piece here is, once you've actually been doing this and you are applying this and putting this out, right, all of this stuff that I just went through with you, obviously should be going in your social media content, right? We're out there on LinkedIn, we're out there on Twitter. Some of us have audiences on Instagram, some of us even on TikTok. You should be applying that over to those social channels. You should be getting a double whammy. It should be really the basis of a good content strategy, really those objections and false beliefs that our prospects have. However, when I say analytics, it's important to month over month go back through your analytics and pay attention to really what is getting you the most amount of engagement, because even the stuff that you have not yet developed, that wasn't developed specifically for your ZMOT, but was social media content that you created that did really well, guess what? That's probably something that deserves to be a part of your ZMOT. Okay, so I hope you guys got a little bit out of this video today. Create those ZMOTs, and if you have an idea as to how to really get somebody past one of their false beliefs or objections that you used in the past, I would love for you to comment down below in this video. Let's share in the community, and you know what I always say, let's go close some deals.